Hello and welcome to Molten Music Technology here in the heart of North Norfolk. I'm Robin Vincent and today we are looking at multi-touch within Presonus Studio One version 3. Sound on Sound magazine asked me to write a review of Studio One for them. It should be available in the September issue, which will be out in the sort of middle of August. So if you want to know the full in-depth detail of what I really think about Studio One, then pick up a copy of the magazine, or you can also download it from their website for about 99p. This video deals with how well the multi-touch works on a larger, sort of desktop orientated touchscreen, whereas the other video deals specifically with the Surface Pro 3. Right, so let's get to it. Let's have a look at the console view. Everything works pretty much as you'd expect it to. All the faders move with multiple fingers, the effects and instrument GUIs are all very responsive, the controls are of a good size for fingertips, and it quickly becomes very natural and intuitive to work with your fingers rather than a mouse. I can drag and drop any synth onto a track very simply and immediately get stuck in with my fingers. You can play it on screen if you wish, which might be useful, and turn as many knobs as you have fingers or whatever's comfortable for you. Similarly with audio, I can drag a sample directly into the arrange view and it creates an audio track. Resizing is done with the old pinch zoom action, either vertically or horizontally, and general navigation is done with a single finger dragged around the screen. To grab and move or edit a region or any of the handles, you use a tap and hold action. It's the same gesture you'd use to perform a right click, and in fact sometimes you get both of these things happening at once when you're trying to grab or edit something. Once that square box appears, you've successfully grabbed it and you can now move it or edit it or drag it. Moving controls on an effect on the GUI works just as it does with a mouse, and you have direct and instant control over any knob and any parameter. Pro EQ is particularly good at demonstrating how being able to move more than one thing at a time has its benefits. With the tap and hold gesture, you can use all the tools in the toolbar. Moving back to the Mai Tai, let's look at adding some notes to the editor. With the pen tool selected, you can tap and hold to create the note and then slide to lengthen it. Alternatively, if you tap where you want the note to be, it will appear with a length set by the current grid quantize. Tap an existing note to delete it. Drawing in something like velocity is very easy with the finger. As is adding automation to a track. So you're probably thinking about now that the editing in the arrange page seems a bit kind of slow and somehow overly intentional. And you'd be right, because the functionality that you have with regions is that in order to move one, I have to tap and hold, then I can move it. Tap, hold, move it. Tap, hold, move it. If I attempt to move it too quickly, I'll just move the entire view. This is also the same with automation. I have to tap and wait, and then I can move the line. Or if I use the pen tool, I have to tap, wait, and then I can draw in my automation. So it is very deliberate. It's very slow, which is a shame. If you compare that to something like FL Studio 12, it's just terribly slow. because you can zoom all over the place in FL Studio. Or even if you use a non-touch program like Cubase, you can move everything with a single touch. You can draw with a single touch. You can use all the tools with a single touch. However, in Studio One, you have all this pausing, all this deliberation almost over every single command that you do. However, that's not true in effects. If you bring an effect over, or any kind of interface, it's all instantly grabbable. So I can grab all of this instantly. But if I want to move this window, I have to tap, wait, then I can move it. If I attempt to do it too quickly, nothing occurs. Tap, wait, move. And that for me is a real flaw in the thinking behind their multi-touch, because it slows the whole process down. The wonderful thing about multi-touch is that it involves you in the process. You feel yourself drawn in, so you're moving knobs around, you're editing, you're doing bits and pieces, all sort of in the screen, in the project, rather than sat back on a mouse and keyboard, kind of like a passive observer. But if everything here is so slow, it doesn't take long before your hand is actually dropping to the mouse, because that's much quicker. I can do that. I can draw instantly with the mouse. I just can't draw instantly with my finger. I have to tap, I have to wait, and then I can draw. Similarly, you saw in the piano roll, to add a note, I had to tap, wait, bing, there it was. Tap, wait, bing, there it was. All the time, Studio One is slowing down your workflow. So currently, even though the functionality is there, it doesn't really pull you in yet. However, there is one saving grace, and that's the Macro Toolbar, which you'll find under this sort of strange little robot-looking icon. I don't think Presonus had multi-touch in mind when they put together the Macro Toolbar. In fact, it first appeared in the previous version, because all of these functions here are kind of complex actions that you want to put together into a macro to save you time. But that's sort of keyboard and mouse orientated. So there's a renaming, a merging button, a loop, range, overview, loop, toggles, things and bits like that, which are very useful. However, this can be repurposed for touch to make the editing in Studio One far quicker, far more intuitive, and to go a long way towards working really well. So what do I mean? Well, the hardest thing to do with a touch interface is all the basic commands, because if you don't have your keyboard to hand, because you're editing here, like you would, for instance, on a tablet, perhaps more, but then you lose all of the access to your keyboard shortcuts. So simple things like copy and paste suddenly become a bit of a pain. So I can select this. Oh, no, I can't. See it. Undo. How do I undo? I've got to go up here, edit, undo. Go back to here, select this. I want to simply copy and paste it. I can tap and hold. And that adequately demonstrates while dealing with menus with a fat finger can be a tad troublesome. Copy. Okay, now bring them over here. Tap. Paste. Ta-da! Okay, good. That's done. Now how do I delete that? Oh, okay, I can do that. Bing. There's the delay. So to have on this Macro Toolbar some actual simple commands, it would radically sort out this interface. So let's do that. If I right click in the space and go new button, I can then assign that to a command, and I've already added things like copy, and there it is. I can now tap on here, go copy, and I've copied this region. I can then go there and, oh, can't do paste yet because I don't have it. So let's go new button, assign macro, paste. Ta-da! Copy and paste. How simple is that? And yet so difficult if you don't have some kind of toolbar which allows you to do it. I could then add further buttons like undo, for instance, is a popular one. Also, loop selection is a favourite one of mine as well, so I can just tap that and the loop is now around that part. Tap this one, loop select, and it's there, which is just P on your keyboard. But if you don't have your keyboard to hand, or you're using a tablet, then that's actually really difficult to find under the menu system. The other thing you can do with these buttons, because they can be a little bit small, is you can add an image or an icon to it. So let's go to copy here, and I go to icon, select image. I've already created a few. So there I have a much larger button that I can use for the copy command, and I can remove this text. So it just sits there purely as a simple button. The restriction is that it can only be 22 pixels big, but it can be as wide as you like, as far as I can work out. So it's very simple to set up a bunch of these. Like so. This toolbar can also be floated, so it doesn't have to stay there. It can float either as a toolbar like this. Of course, I have to tap and wait in order to move it. So I can stick it down the bottom here or somewhere else out of the way, or you can also put it vertical like that, so it can sit perhaps over here. In fact, personally, I think it would really work if it became a tab within the browser, so it could then be nicely out of the way and easily brought up when you need it. So with the Macro Toolbar, suddenly editing within Studio One becomes much better. However, you've still got to contend with the tap and the hold. And that's really, I believe, damaging the usefulness of it in the Arrange page. The Macro Toolbar is also available in the editors. So if I was to bring up an instrument and stick Presence over here, for instance, like so, draw a little bit. I can also use it here as well, so I can enter a load of notes. I can then select those notes, or which notes I want to do. I can go copy over here, paste. And that's much simpler than trying to dig around inside a menu. As you've seen in instruments like the Presence or the Mai Tai or any of them, the functionality is excellent. Grabbing hold of things, moving them around, 2 or 3 buttons at once, just fantastic. You bring in a multi-instrument, for instance, and all of these start working. Including the XY pads, and you can play directly on the keyboard if you'd ever want to. And those kind of controls are excellent. It's just what you need. Similarly, in the mixer, you have fantastic control over everything exactly how it should be. So Presonus have got it almost completely right. It just somehow falls over itself with the tap and holding that you have to do in the Arrange page. But then what you're probably likely to do is have a sort of arrangement like this, where you have your project up on your main screen, and down here on your touch screen you have your console. And that way you start to integrate every way of working. So I'm editing up here with my mouse, simply and easily, and down here I'm mixing with my fingers. So that was Presonus Studio One version 3.02, and that version number is very important. The initial release had a lot of problems with multi-touch. It would crash, you'd get weird sort of graphical errors going on, and ultimately it would lock up completely. However, with the 3.01 and now the 3.02 update, that situation has been improved immensely. So now it's stable enough to work with completely confidently. There are still some issues with the Surface Pro 3 and the digital pen, so please check out my other video which deals specifically with the Surface. On the whole then, Studio One version 3 brings their sleek and modern interface fully up to date to rival any other DAW that's out there. The touch controls in the console and in the plugin GUIs are excellent and very enjoyable to use. The Macro Toolbar is genius and greatly enhances the workflow, which is sort of sadly hampered by the tap and hold mechanic. They really do need to sort that out. So it's mostly fabulous. Don't forget that my full review is available in Sound on Sound magazine in either kind of an old school printable displayed on a newsagent shelf kind of way, or you can download it from their website at soundonsound.com. Please subscribe, please check out all the other videos that we do. Come along to moltenmusictechnology.com to see an awesome array of creative audio PCs. And in the meantime, go make some tunes.